What is going on, A to Z Sports? And welcome in to A to Z Sports Prime Time. Let me make sure I get adjusted here, make sure we're all good. Got a different setup for you guys on this Tuesday evening because I am not in Music City. I am hanging out here in the Windy City back home in Chicago for the week. So bringing you an edition of A to Z Prime Time here from Chicagoland with a new setup, no background, but a great show nonetheless here as we get ready to talk about Titans quarterback Will Levis and how I think Levis might be more on his way to being the Titans' future quarterback than most of you. We've got a lot to get into regarding Levis and a lot to talk about. But first, I want to welcome all of you into A to Z Sports Primetime here on a Tuesday night. It is November 19th, and the Tennessee Titans are 2-8. But as I said earlier, a lot of things to talk about. Will Levis is one of those things. We will get into the Titans quarterback. We will get into some of the things building under the surface with this team. Things that Brian Callahan is pointing out in his press conferences. Watch some of the tape from the Vikings game. Watch some of the tape from recent weeks in the game against the Chargers as well to break down potential positives or things to look forward to in the future regarding the Titans. Got a good show for all of you guys here. Let's go ahead and before we do it officially, I want to encourage all of you to share the show. Make sure you're getting the word out there that we're live. I know, a couple minutes late here this morning, not our conventional show setup. No microphone for me, so not my conventional audio. Hopefully the audio is still coming through okay for all of you. But share the show nonetheless. Hit the share button on the bottom right corner if you're watching on Facebook. Take the YouTube links, spread word, share that around. You can even retweet on A to Z Sports on X and Twitter. Hit the repost. I don't know if any of you guys are over on Blue Sky, but this is being tweeted out segment by segment over on Twitter and X. So go and share on your timelines there. But let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Primetime here on a Tuesday. I am not in the Zen Sports Studio tonight in Chicago, and I'm not Buck Rising, but I am Sam Phelan, and I'm with you Tuesday nights now through the rest of the 2024 NFL season. Presented to you as always by my friends at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information. Zen Sports is your place to back the Titans if you choose. If you choose to fade the Titans, that might be a good choice as well, considering the fact that this team refuses to cover or win games. Zen Sports is at the official Titans tailgate parties on Sundays. If you're interested in going, contact Zen Sports customer support for more information and use the promo code ATOZTN on the Zen Sports app. If you're in need of a new workout program, TrueMav Fitness is the place for you. No workout is ever recycled or repeated at TrueMav. Go to truemavfitness.com for more information. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes here on a Tuesday evening. We're talking about quarterback Will Levis. Giving you some of my opinions. We're going to hear from Brian Callahan about the Titans' young quarterback. And really, this is sparked because I think the version of Will Levis that we have all seen over the last 2 weeks now since he returned is vastly different from the version of Will Levis that we saw at the beginning of the year. And I think pretty much different from the version of Will Levis we expected to see coming back. I don't think there was a lot of optimism that Will Levis was still potentially the guy for Tennessee, that he still potentially had really good football left in the tank. And yet the guy that we've seen against the Chargers and the Vikings, while maybe not perfect, definitely not perfect, while maybe not producing wins, I think is a little bit closer to what you would hope to see from a quarterback at his maturity level, experience level. And as Nate says, he was almost out on Levis, but he looked good against a defense that no QB has looked good against this year, and he is back in. Nate, I think you kind of summarize where a lot of Titans might be right now and where I feel like Titans fans should be right now. We were ready to cast off Will Levis. We were ready to say it's done, it's over, replace him in the draft or get a new free agent and get a bridge quarterback. But is he making Titans fans and maybe the Titans coaching staff and front office question that a little bit? Amar says he's still not good enough. And maybe not right now, maybe not the current version of Will Levis, but is there a chance that Will Levis will develop into a version of himself? Faith do we have in that? Hopefully you guys still got me here today because it seems like my connection is a little bit spotty, but I will carry on as if you can see me. So here is Brian to say about Will Levis earlier this week in his Titans press conference and some analysis about the development the Titans quarterback has shown.
You look at the performance yesterday from the passing game and from Will in particular, does it make it more impressive that what he was able to do since you didn't have a run game really to balance it out?
No, I mean that's the number one rush defense in football. So we knew it was going to be hard, and we tried to find some ways to see if we could manufacture it. But the way the fronts are played, the movement, it's a really difficult team to run the football against, and it put us in some tough spots. You know, our first and second down efficiency was not very good. We found ways to be in some manageable third downs and to convert. You know, about 40% of our third downs against a top 10 third down defense was encouraging. So Will did some good things and didn't have much to lean on outside of just having to face some pressures and make some big throws. And I thought he delivered in a lot of those spots. And there's certainly things he's got to clean up too. It wasn't perfect. There's throws that I think he can throw better. There's decisions that I think could make it cleaner. But yes, there was some really encouraging things and things that are exciting about how he played in that game.
Will spoke to us yesterday. You know, he seemed very confident. You know, he said he did awesome against the blitzes and things like that. Your experience, like how much can a performance like that kind of catapult a guy towards taking more steps that he needs to take?
I mean, half the battle is being confident enough to go do it, and to see Will's growth and put together two much improved games. Even look at in general for our team, the turnover margin, I think 3 weeks now we've been even or better, which is a huge departure from what we were early in the season. And Will's a huge part of that. He's taking care of the football. That last interception, he's trying to do a little too much, but at the end of the day, when the game was tight and we had to make some throws, the ball wasn't in harm's way. And there's a confidence that comes with that. And the more confidence you get, so usually the better you end up playing for a lot of reasons. And there's a lot of parts to that too. There's the protection direction part. There's the throws part. There's managing all the things you have to manage against a good defense like that with the zero pressure looks and we have usually two plays called on every third down to manage all that stuff. And I thought he did that with a high degree of execution in a lot of those spots during the game. So really encouraging, and he should be confident because there's things that were really good in that game.
Big praises from the Titans head coach, says he should be confident. There's things that are really encouraging from the game. Clearly, Brian Callahan feeling like his quarterback showed a lot of positive signs. And now, look, I see the chat right now. You guys are somewhat torn. I see one good game doesn't erase all the bad. I see a quarterback. We still want a quarterback in the draft. Some people think a bridge quarterback is stupid. I agree with Coach Callahan. I think people are relatively torn right now about Will Levis, which is why I think it is the perfect time to ask our first question of the evening. Fair or foul? Just a statement, fair or foul. Will Levis can still be the Titans franchise quarterback of the future. Fair or foul? You tell me. If you disagree, if you feel like, Brian Callahan is reaching a little bit for some of the positives, that's foul. If you are more in on Will Levis than out on Will Levis, this would be fair for you. So curious to see how the chat comes out here, what you guys think about that. While you guys let me know and sound off, and before I tell you my answers, I'm going to tell you about my friends over at Two Rivers Ford, because everywhere I go, I see a Two Rivers Ford and a Ford Bronco. They're all over the road, and they're all different. Soft tops, hard tops, big bends. There's so many options, color combinations, and different packages with the Broncos, which is why the Two Rivers Ford team is inviting you to go get to know the Ford Bronco. This is an open check more team, a team of Bronco experts on hand to introduce you to the Bronco, answer questions, and even let you test drive. And they're not working on commission. They're there to educate you, to answer questions, and to introduce you to a really cool that I'm sure you've seen around and you might not know a lot about. There's one reason people love to buy the South's most trusted Ford dealer. So go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport, and get to know the Ford Bronco. Two Rivers Ford is your Ford Bronco headquarters. I asked that, is it fair or is it fair or foul to say that Will Levis can still be the Titans franchise quarterback of the future? Clayton is saying fair. I see fair. A foul from Omar, who's been very vocal about being anti-Levis. B-Bird says foul. Fair from Jonathan. Eric says the assessment should continue. Major Keys says foul. John says foul. We've got a lot of fouls here coming in from Jack. Let's see. John adds he processes info too slowly to be a franchise QB. Well, let me just say that I believe this is absolutely a fair statement. I believe Will Levis can still be the Titans franchise quarterback of the future. As a matter of fact, I think he's on his way towards it. I think Will Levis is on his way towards earning the Titans quarterback job in 2025 and maybe beyond, depending on what he can show in 2025. Let me play some of the tape. We can watch some of the highlights. We can appreciate some of the things Levis did against the Vikings. You see this, obviously, the highlight of the day from his own end zone, drops back, perfect throw, beats the deep safety. 98-yard touchdown, second longest pass in franchise history. Levis drops back here, a lot of pressure, stands through with the pressure, finds Bryce Oliver, explosive gain of over 30 yards. Levis in a clean pocket here, but sits on a third down and long, finds Calvin Ridley for another explosive play. And this is Brian Callahan talking about all of the explosive plays on offense that the Titans had. Another one to Ridley in the sideline with pressure in his face. A good contested catch that he puts it up to his number one wide receiver in one-on-one coverage. This ball goes to the sideline to NWI to set up a third down and short. Back to the Chargers game, play action. Little hitch with his shoulder, looks a safety off, finds Calvin Ridley for the long touchdown. Timing route, beautiful throw to NWI, picks up a first down. These are the types of plays that Will Levis, that's another angle of the NWI throw there. These are the types of plays that Will Levis has made over the last 2 weeks since returning healthy that would make some people bat an eye. Here's another one. This one didn't count, but look at the pressure right in Will's face. He stands through the pressure, moving to his left, throws the ball to his right. Calvin Ridley, deep 50-plus yard touchdown. Illegal formation negated it. Will Levis made the play. Will Levis got it done. And I think it's important to remember the context of Will Levis's career right now. When we watch those plays from Will Levis, because think about where you were on Will Levis in the offseason. Think about where you were coming into the season. We had seen flashes as a rookie. We were optimistic Brian Callahan, with time, could develop Will Levis. And the Chicago game started the season on a sour note. There were some bad turnovers along the way. But overall, Will Levis in weeks 2 and 3 even was not horrible. Will Levis's passer rating in the games against the Packers and Jets, so it was 52.5 against the Bears. It jumped to 84.2. 84.2 is what Will Levis's passer rating was as a rookie. Then it jumps up even more to 92.8. We are seeing steps in the growth, in the right direction growth-wise. Some of those numbers would be better if there wasn't a garbage time interception and Treylon Burks getting mossed for an interception. Granted, there were some turnovers that were inexcusable from Levis as well. So his passer rating is up even or above where it was his rookie year. Then in week 4, an injury derails some of that progress. He goes down with the shoulder. It costs him the Miami game. It costs him the next game against the Colts because he plays against the Colts, but he's not healthy enough to play. And it really hurt his numbers. And in my opinion, really soured a lot of Titans fans and national media people and really the whole league about what Will Levis can do. I don't know if that's fair, knowing what we know about his injury in hindsight. He sits out for a while. Everybody is ready to write Will Levis off. And what does he do in 2 games since returning? I'll play the tape again while I tell you. Since returning healthy, Will Levis has a passer rating of 103.1. That is the 6th best in the NFL this season. 103.1 would be the 6th best in the NFL this season. So he's played like a top 6 quarterback. He has completed 65% of his passes, thrown for 470 yards, added 60 yards rushing, thrown 4 touchdowns, only turned the ball over once, and that turnover was a garbage time DT against the Vikings. Levis, as Callahan has said, has protected the football in critical moments, has created explosive plays with his arm and his legs, has seemed to handle pressure and blitzes very well despite the offensive line, particularly the right tackle, letting him down over and over and over again. And oh, by the way, his numbers would be even better if we didn't have garbage like this getting called back because of a penalty on his right tackle. When you look at those 2 games, when you look at those numbers of Will Levis developing, I think there's reason to be very optimistic. I think there is reason to believe he can continue to go in the right way. Will Levis has played 16 games in his NFL career. Still not a full slate of NFL regular season games. He has still not played 17 games. 2 of those 16 games, he has played 13 snaps or less because of injuries. So they're not even real games, not even real statistical efforts from Will Levis. So take those away. 14 games now really make up the statistics of what Will Levis has done this year. In those 14 games, 2,900 passing yards, 220 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Amazing? No. 16 and 11, 200 rushing yards, 2,900 passing yards, but maybe 3 more games to go before you're even at a full rookie season, and he's playing his best football right now. There is reason to believe with 7 more games to go this season, Will Levis could 100% solidify his place as the Titans quarterback in 2025. That is not out of the question. And if it's not out of the question in 2025, it's definitely not out of the question in the years that go beyond. Because what Brian Callahan does with Will Levis next year, think about it again. 16 games played, really 14 games played for Will Levis in his career right now. 14 regular season games. At the end of the 2025 regular season, if he's healthy, he'll have played 24 more games in the NFL. More than double or almost double what he's already played now. In addition, he'll go from 14 career games played to 38 games played. It could look vastly different. So, in the context that we're using, which is reality of how much football he has played, the numbers, pacing for really first 17 starts, maybe he throws, he's pacing for 3,500 yards in his first 17 starts. He's pacing for 20 to 22 touchdowns in his first 17 starts. Maybe somewhere between 13 to 14 interceptions. The interception numbers have to go down. But it's not that bad. It's not as bad as Titans fans would make you think if you asked them right now. So I'm not asking you to anoint Will Levis. I'm not asking you to claim him as your franchise quarterback of the future. But what I will challenge you to do is to judge Levis based off of the quarterback that he is right now. I don't think it matters judging what he did against Indianapolis, what he did against Miami, even what he did against Chicago in the first week of the season in a new system. I want to know, what is Will Levis in the back half of 2024? And is that quarterback then? Is he a better option than Drew Lock? Is he a better option than the second, third, or fourth quarterback in the 2025 NFL draft? Because, again, I'll remind you, the Titans currently slated to pick second in the 2024 draft, with the one team above them being the Jacksonville Jaguars, who they still have to play twice. The Titans could very easily win 2 or 3 more games if they can beat the Jaguars. And then maybe you're not looking at a pick that gives you the ability to draft those types of players, draft the quarterback of your choice. Keep an open mind. I'm not ready to be done with Will Levis potentially as this team's future. All right, going to get to my next little tangent here, talking about some of the things below the surface that are going right for the Titans in the eyes of Brian Callahan. Before I do it, going to tell everybody about my guy, Gary Ashton. Gary Ashton, not below the surface, very above the surface, very loud, very proud, very well known, because he's the official realtor of the Nashville Predators. You don't want to sell without the intel. Get your dream address without the stress and the intel that you need to succeed with my guy, Gary, the official realtor of the Nashville Predators. Visit him at GaryAshton.com. You see it at the bottom, GaryAshton.com. All right. Under the surface. What do you mean under the surface? Well, Brian Callahan brought up things that he believes are going right for the Titans under the surface, namely some of the younger players on the Titans roster.
Other than that, I'll say there's just a couple of things about the game. First is, I thought there was some really good performances by a bunch of guys. I thought our interior of the defensive line was fantastic between Jeff and Sweat. They did a really nice job creating pressure. They stuffed the run game for most of the game. It was really impressive performance by those two. I thought there was some really positive throws that Will had on tape this week that gave us some opportunities, some explosive plays. We had 8 explosives on offense. Those things are all positive. Clearly, whether, it doesn't really matter whether you agree with him or not, 13 penalties is going to lose you a lot of games. So we got to do a better job having some more discipline, being able to overcome some of those things and not put ourselves in position to get called for penalties that were called. And, the negative plays offensively are still things that sort of hold us back at times between the sacks and the penalties. Still far too many for us to play a brand of football that can win against a really good team. And that's we've played a lot of really good teams over the last what feels like 5 weeks or so. Really, really good football teams, really good defenses, and you're not going to beat those teams with 13 penalties and 5 sacks. That's just the way it's going to go. You have to be better than that. So. Those things we have to improve. I also think, too, that a lot of our young players right now, I know I talked about things that happen under the surface, things that necessarily aren't, out there for everyone in the world. But I look at guys like Jarvis and JC and Sweat, even Jack Gibbons. I look at the players that, even Baker, Darrell Baker coming in, and guys that are playing well, that are growing and developing and putting really good performances quietly, because we're not winning the games, but are quietly putting together good football for us and getting better every week. Those are the things that I like to look at and point to when people ask about the things that are happening underneath the current. That's what I look at, and that's what I see as some of these young players really ascending, and guys that are stepping up in roles. Even Mike Brown, just the way that he stepped in and played at the safety spot for us. There's a lot of guys doing really good things for us right now, and again, not enough to win some of these games that we played in, but guys that I'm, excited about their development.
So a lot of guys, Brian Callahan says he's excited about their development. Referred to a few young players by name. Brought up Tavondre Sweat, brought up Darrell Baker, J.C. Latham, Jarvis Brownlee, Mike Brown. Brought up Jack Gibbons, who is kind of disqualified for this question because of the season-ending injury that he very unfortunately suffered. Heartbreaking for Jack Gibbons at the worst time possible when he was playing very good football. But I will ask those of you in the chat, which Titans, quote, young player, as Brian Callahan described him, has impressed you the most in 2024? Which Titans young player has impressed you the most in 2024? I do believe that there are some good things going on below the surface here. I believe that there are, young players who have shown signs of development, signs of improvement. We can go ahead and throw some of the tape on here. Watch some of T'Vondre Sweat's highlights against the Minnesota Vikings, as he was very active in the run game. And as much as I would love to be upset at the idea that Sweat missed some tackles in this game, watch how many of these plays he either makes the play or changes the play with his rush. This is a great goal line stop where he's involved in the action that was right before the unnecessary roughness penalty. Watch his chase down here, getting downfield, big man. They told me he wasn't well conditioned. Near sack right here. You need to make that tackle. You need to make that sack here. Watch this one again. He affects the rush lane. He either makes a tackle like he does right here, or right here, another one affects the rush lane of the running back by his ability to just close things up. He doesn't make a tackle, but he's all around the action. That's an example of a young player playing really good football for the Titans in a game against a very good team. And there's plenty of examples. So which Titans young player has impressed you most in 2024? T'Vondre Sweat, J.C. Latham, Jarvis Brownlee, stepping up absolutely with Cheeto Awuzie and L'Jarius Sneed out. Jarvis has been guarding number ones, had his hands full with Justin Jefferson. I thought he did a really good job with Justin Jefferson against the Vikings. Seymour Latham. Seymour has to be Jarvis and Latham. All of the rookies, Latham, Sweat, Brownlee, which is basically all of the rookies. So I think we're pretty split here. Latham and Brownlee are the top two answers that I've been seeing from the chat. I'm torn myself. I am torn myself because Jarvis Brownlee, I think, is the biggest surprise. I like Jarvis Brownlee coming out of Louisville a lot. I thought it was a pretty good pick for the Titans. I think he fit into the scheme really well. An aggressive physical corner, gets very handsy, is going to get penalized. That's part of the nature of the beast. But, his ability to play significant snaps and play against some top-tier wide receivers has been really impressive. Brian Callahan brought up the idea that Cheeto's window to return is going to open up here in the next week or two. We're going to see Cheeto Awuzie in a Titans uniform again before the season ends. I would imagine we're going to see Sneed. Sneed is closer than close, as he told me in the locker room. I've had some suspicions about Sneed and what's really going on there, but he's kind of made it clear he wants to play. I don't blame him. He's losing a lot of money every game he doesn't play. We're going to see Sneed again. And it creates an interesting question about what you do with Jarvis Brownlee if Cheeto and Sneed are both healthy. And it creates an interesting question about what you do next year. Because you've paid L'Jarius Sneed. You've paid Cheeto Awuzie. You've given them both pretty significant contracts that are not going anywhere. And yet, I think you would like to look for playing time for your young cornerback, Jarvis Brownlee, who's answered every call. It's a positive, no doubt, if you can get a starting corner, even if Brownlee doesn't develop anymore. I still think he's a starting corner as is right now. I think Darrell Baker has looked not bad. Now, I wouldn't say he's good, but not bad. And for a guy you claimed off of waivers for a division rival, that's been another encouraging sign. I think he's absolutely a player for you in 2025. Maybe those are like, there's your 5 cornerbacks in 2025. Snead, Cheeto, Jarvis, McCreary, Baker. Bang. Thank you. No need to address it in the draft. No need to spend money there. Possible that Jarvis Brownlee gets even better. So I think Brownlee is the surprise. But if you're talking just performance, just impressive play, it's got to be J.C. Latham, right? I mean, if there is one silver lining of this season for the Titans right now, if there is one thing as a Titans fan that should give you hope for the future, watch some of this number 55 tape and just know that the Tennessee Titans have themselves a franchise left tackle. I don't think it's too early to make that declaration. I don't think, anybody should bat an eye at it. And while I'm at it, Peter Skoronski as well. The way that the left side of the offensive line has played is going to make things much easier to build around here, at least if you're competent at your job in the front office. I think this next cycle of player acquisition is pivotal for Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan and everybody in the organization, because you have the bones here of a potentially, like, the hardest thing to do is to go get the quarterback and also pair it with the offensive line. And now you have the left side of the offensive line, which should be the more important side. You have that part figured out. J.C. Latham, to me, is the most impressive player of this draft. He's the most impressive young player on the team right now. Quite frankly, he's the one that I'm not sure I had a ton of faith in. I was confident I'm looking at Jaquan Jackson in the chat here. I was confident J.C. Latham could be a good right tackle, but making that right tackle to left tackle jump is no easy task, especially when you're doing it in the NFL. Latham was drafted pretty high for the Titans, who could have taken a Rome Odunze with their pick. They could have pursued other avenues. They wanted their guy. Latham was their guy. They could have taken Talise Fuaga. They could have taken Olu Fashanu. They wanted J.C. Latham. It is proving to be the right call right now. So, J.C. Latham, Jarvis Brownlee, Peter Skoronski, all of those guys, Darrell Baker, I'll throw him in there. Positives. I think Brian Callahan is right about this, and hopefully they're able to build on it, because you've got two good players at positions of need to not two. Michael says, thank God we didn't get Rome. I don't know about that. Rome Odunze is a very good wide receiver. But I do think you're right to say thank God, in the sense that the Titans have a left tackle. And in order for Rome Odunze to be more valuable than a franchise left tackle, you would need Rome Odunze to be, a consistent all pro, or at least consistent Pro Bowl level wide receiver. We'll see if he ends up being that. But I think the Titans also showed that a guy like Calvin Ridley can be very productive, and Nick Westbrook-Akine can be very productive without necessarily using a top 10 pick on a wide receiver in the draft. And Michael says, Talkison, we need a left tackle. Right. I agree. Right. Yeah. I mean, looking at what you got at right tackle right now, imagine if the Titans, I hear what you're saying. It's not about Rome Odunze. It's not even about Malik Neighbors, who the Titans couldn't have drafted, but was one of those other names that was being discussed about instead of getting an offensive tackle. It's not about the trade-off of not having those guys as much as it is about, thank goodness we have a left tackle, because if we didn't have a left tackle or a right tackle, Will Levis would not have a chance, and neither would the next guy. But Latham makes the path a little bit easier for the guy that comes after him. All right, let's get to Gone Viral here today. I got a couple of things on the docket for all of you before I tell you about it and show it to you. Going to tell you about True Mav Fitness. True Mav Fitness in the Gulch is the place to go for your new workout. TrueMavFitness.com. You can get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident where no workout is recycled or repeated. That's True Mav. They've got personal training. They've got group fitness classes. Their membership also offers an open gym. So if you want to, just free weight, do it by yourself, you can do that too. True Mav Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMavFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. Bert, you with me this evening?
Yeah, what's going on, Sam?
There he is. All right, well, I got a couple things to bring up with you, Bert. Number one, I brought this up on the show. Did you get a chance to check out Paul v. Tyson?
I did not get a chance to watch it. I saw a lot of the highlights on Twitter that it was there were streaming issues, there was Mike Tyson ass issues, there were fight quality issues, a woman's eyebrow was split open. So it seems like it was fun. Everybody had fun bitching about it, but I don't know how many people had fun actually watching it.
In the chat here, if you watched Tyson v. Paul, this feels like incorrect. I'm not a big fighting guy. I'm not a big UFC. I'm not a big boxing guy in general. This feels like every hyped up fight ever, in the sense that people are going to watch it. People are going to buy it. You didn't have to buy it with Netflix, thankfully. The stream is not going to be as good as you would want it to be. You're going to moan about it being three hours of an undercard and waiting for the title fight to get there. And then the title fight's going to get there and you're going to be like, okay, this is kind of just bad fights. Like, how many times does the title fight deliver to this extent? Maybe more in UFC than it does in boxing. But I remember, what would it have been, 2017, 2018, how hyped I was and the world was for Mayweather versus Pacquiao. And then the entire fight was just Floyd Mayweather running around Pacquiao because he had the reach on him. And that's kind of what I come to expect out of big boxing matches like this one.
Yeah, the craziest part is the biggest star that was born was one of the ring girls, Sydney Brown. She has become more famous than anybody else for anything else that was involved in this whole fight. So glad people had fun. Glad people got to enjoy themselves. But I will not be buying the hype.
I got you. You got me?
A little bit. You're in and out. In the meantime, while Sam gets straight on his end, something else we're excited about is Hard Knocks coming back to your television screens this season. Part of this season is going to be the first time that they cover an entire division, the AFC North. You've got the Steelers, you've got the Bengals, the Ravens, the Browns, everyone at a different point in their season, and the trailer dropped earlier today.
Full on contact. That is AFC North football.
The whole world watching. What are we gonna do? Woo! Enjoy the show.
One play at a time, one day at a time. Let's keep going.
We're gonna remain aggressive. This football right here. Let's go.
Next week, prime time. That's Bengals football.
When I tell y'all, he does that in practice, for real.
You can't script this stuff.
That's the NFL, man. It comes at you every week. We gonna show them who the real Lions are. Give me a sack right here. Let's go!
There we go. Sam, are you here? Oh, look, it's Bizarro World. What are we doing?
What happened?
That works with me. That works
Now
with
I
me.
see. All right, now I see you. Well, I don't know what my computer's like a brick right now. We were talking Jake Paul, and all of a sudden everything broke.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We transitioned to the Hard Knocks AFC North. One of the things I think is cool about this season is that all of the teams are genuinely in a different spot of the season, right? Like the Browns
Yeah.
are in a hole trying to fight their way out. The Bengals are trying to be one of those last teams realized to get a playoff spot in the AFC, which 2 weeks ago looked like a shit show. It looked like the bottom of the AFC was so weak, and anybody that wanted to get in was probably not, and it was going to be the Bengals running away. But now the Dolphins have won 2 in a row. The Colts beat the Jets, so now the bottom of that AFC playoff match or ranking is kind of muddled. The Ravens trying to get out of the wild card spot. The Steelers trying to hold on to the division. It's really interesting where each team is at. I don't think they could have asked for a better scenario for this.
Yeah, no, I find the AFC North really fascinating. You talk, obviously, like the Lamar, Derrick Henry era Ravens are really fun and one of those top contenders. The Steelers have surprised everybody yet again. Jokes on us, egg on our face that we doubted the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. But, we're good under Justin Fields, look great under Russell Wilson. And so it's also like the content of getting Jameis Winston in Cleveland, the content of seeing the behind the scenes of what I think is a really fascinating team, the Bengals, because they have an MVP quarterback. Joe Burrow may be having the best year of any quarterback in the sport, and the team is not getting wins. I find that whole narrative sort of captivating and compelling. Then you have the content machine that is Russell Wilson on the Steelers and his whole Mr. Unlimited and seeing how that goes behind the scenes. And then, of course, the Baltimore Ravens. I saw that trailer. I got hyped for it. I didn't watch it just now because of Wi-Fi issues, but, it got me ready to tune in. I've never watched an in-season Hard Knocks live as the season is going on, but this is probably going to be one that I'll have to tune in for.
I think the one were the Colts in season Hard Knocks. Was that last year?
Sounds right. Yeah, the Colts last year. I know the Arizona Cardinals were one. Miami had one.
They're really interesting because you can kind of see Miami was one. I remember that because Jalen Phillips, they kind of highlighted him. He tore his Achilles in the game, having to come back this next season. You get cool stories like that. You get to create relationships with players in your own mind that you don't really know. We just know the name on the back of the jersey. But Hard Knocks kind of puts a story with that name. I think that's pretty cool too.
What would your thoughts be on the Titans having Hard Knocks at some point? Because I thought it was impossible with Mike Vrabel at head coach. I don't think it's as impossible in the Callahan-Carthon era of this team if they get interesting enough for the league to take note.
Yeah, that's tough. I think it would be good for us content-wise because I'm sure they'll have a little bit better access than we could have, and it would give us a chance to stand on some things that you hear, be able to infer things off of that better access. But I just think that they would find someone, a team more interesting than the Titans to inevitably give Hard Knocks to. Sam looks like he don't give a shit about what I'm saying. It's all right. We'll wrap it up here, Sam. Don't worry about it. If you can hear me, we got it. Sam's back and look. Dude, look at the face on you on the other one that froze. This is no.
I can't even see it.
It looked like what I was saying. You're like,
yeah,
you were not a big fan of it,
dude. I'll have to hear your response another time. I got to get the hell out of here before we have another incident, man. We gotta get ahead of this one. Tomorrow morning, Easton Freeze, Austin Stanley, they're back on the A to Z Sports Morning Show. You will hear from me next Thursday morning on the A to Z. I had to find some different Wi-Fi accommodations for that one. So thanks for bearing with me here for the new setup. We'll be back in Nashville before you know it. Till then, go home. We'll see you later.
Go home! Go home!